I'm Joni Patry, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Well, today I'd like to talk about the eclipse that is about to happen July 2nd, a solar eclipse. But I want to give you a little rundown about eclipses, what they're all about, and how we can better predict our future through looking at the cycle of eclipses. What is an eclipse? An eclipse is simply when you have a new moon or a full moon with Rahu and Ketu. So we will have a new moon and a full moon every single month. But it's not till they are with Rahu and Ketu that the eclipses occur. So these eclipses actually only occur 6 months apart. So when we look at the eclipse that's going to be happening on July 2nd, we don't have another eclipse till December 26th of this year, 2019. So they're always like 6 months apart. But what we're going to focus in on right now are the solar eclipses. I know there's a lunar eclipse. Basically, a lunar eclipse usually occurs 2 weeks before or 2 weeks after a solar eclipse. When the solar eclipse is the new moon, meaning the moon and the sun are together conjunct with Rahu and Ketu. And a lunar eclipse is either 2 weeks before or 2 weeks after when you have the full moon conjunct Rahu or Ketu. Or both, the moon and the sun oppose one another will be with Rahu and Ketu. So we're going to focus in on the solar eclipse because the solar eclipse is the indicator. A lunar eclipse is an offshoot. It evolves because of the solar eclipse, the new moon. So looking at this solar eclipse, July 2nd, what is this going to bring to our world? Well, eclipses, whatever sign they're in, will really depict what's going on. That's the revelation. That's the indicator. What sign are they in? What nakshatra are they in? And for those of you that don't know that I do Vedic astrology, which is sidereal astrology used in Vedic in India, it's different than Western. So the placements of where I'm referring to will go backwards a sign, but these are the true placements relative to the stars. And when I talk about the placements of these eclipses, I'm going to be talking about the nakshatras. The nakshatras are smaller portions of the zodiac, whereas we're talking about a 30-degree segment of a sign. There's 12 signs. The eclipses will fall in a sign. But let me tell you how fast or slow they move. So eclipses are based on where Rahu and Ketu are. Rahu is the north node of the moon. Ketu is the south node of the moon. And without getting into all of the astronomy, let's just say that Rahu is in a sign for a year and a half, and it takes 18 and a half years for Rahu and Ketu to go through all 12 of the signs of the zodiac. So this cyclic process is very interesting because always wherever Rahu or Ketu are forming the eclipses, you're going to want to know what sign it's in, because 18 and a half years ago when they were last in that same sign, whatever was happening then will be relative to what's happening again in both world affairs as well as your own personal affairs. So you're going to want to think back, what happened in 2001? That's the last time that Rahu and Ketu were in Gemini and Sagittarius. Now, of course, most of us will immediately go to the fact that September 2001 was the terrorist attack in New York City. And yes, it is about this type of thing. Why? Because going backwards in time, each 18 and a half years, we came upon a pretty tragic event, such as 2001, September 11th, such as 1982, the advent of the AIDS virus, such as 1963, the assassination of Kennedy, such as 1945, another 18 and a half years before that, when they were in Gemini and Sagittarius, the bombing of Hiroshima. So my point is this: there's something relative to each time it's in that sign. And nakshatra, because the nakshatra in Gemini that these events occurred in was called Ardra. And this nakshatra symbol is a teardrop. It represents the howling winds. It is this deep nakshatra that is usually associated with tragedy. So with that, we have to be very careful where we're looking while we're having eclipses in this sign, nakshatra. So Ardra is pretty much within the sign of Gemini. So this eclipse, July 2nd, is going to be 16 degrees of Gemini, which is in the nakshatra of Ardra. And during this eclipse period, we've had the Mars was with Rahu. Now Mars just shifted into Cancer, which is actually its debilitation sign here in July. So this is a more difficult placement for Mars. It's weaker. It's going to cause issues and problems around the world, and particularly, I believe, in the economy. Why? Because when we look at Mars being in Cancer, it's weak. It doesn't give the strength to keep up all that the stock market, all that the world was doing, especially with trade. Why do I say trade? Because that's what Gemini rules. And you know, if you go back to 2001, really things were kind of cut off around the world because of September 11th. And here's another variable that Gemini rules. Where Rahu is and this eclipse is occurring. It rules air. It's an air sign. It rules transportation. And if you consider back in September 2001, did involve airplanes. So there's going to be some issues with airplanes, whether it is something as dire as crashes or simply, I think there's going to definitely be something about transportation delays, issues, maybe strikes, things ending, but also with computers. And computers control air traffic. This is going to come under duress, under major problems because of the Rahu with the sun, the moon, the eclipse. And Rahu will be in Gemini from March of 2019 till September of 2020. During this whole window of time, there's going to be issues with transportation, particularly by air, and computers, communications. There's a breakdown. That's what's happening with this eclipse here. And going back, here's the most significant thing that I believe I want to point out at this time. Ketu being in Sagittarius is all about terrorism, because Sagittarius deals with beliefs, strong beliefs, fanaticism, religion, and that's exactly what happened in September of 2001. The terrorists, it's going to heat up, it's going to get stronger, it's going to get more intense. But here's the whole issue that possibly can be addressed during this time. The fact that we didn't see it coming here in the United States with the terrorism, it can be traced, it can be recognized, it can be seen before things happen, but no one was looking. And that's exactly, like I said, 18 and a half years ago, what was that about? It will be relative to now, because what are eclipses but the darkening of the light? This is where the light of the sun is darkened. Therefore, something comes out of the darkness we didn't know about. That's what this is going to be all about. So something's revealed in the darkness. And let me just say, this is also true in your own life. Something relative, possibly that was similar to 2001, whatever was happening will relatively happen again, will come into your conscious awareness. Again, that's relative to that same issue, really kind of depending on what house it's happening in your chart, in your own personal chart. But something similar will come out of the past, out of the darkness, for you to see, for you to heal, for you to recognize and work with. And that goes for the world. There's something that is not being looked at that will cause possibly a tragic event. And if we can see clearly and deeply and open our eyes to what is being revealed by this eclipse, maybe this can be prevented. But who knows with Rahu and Ketu? It's like the churning of events occur because of a fated destiny. And that destiny is pretty much put into action by the masses with the people, because people are so polarized, outraged, angry, frustrated. All of this is surfacing now. And the rage, the anger, the fanaticism, the religion, the beliefs, everything's coming to a head. What will happen and come out of this is a bringing together of people to better understand one another. But at this point, the polarization is so intense with the Gemini, the communication, with the information, with how we connect from the belief system, the justice, the fanaticism of justice, and all of those things that deal with laws and people's belief systems. They come under complete opposition. So many people are so wrapped up into their justices and their beliefs and what's right, what's wrong, pushing their agenda, pushing it on others, their beliefs. And that goes for everything, everybody, in terms of their religious belief systems, in terms of their political beliefs, all this about their sense of who's right, who's wrong, who's moral, who's just, who's not unjust. All of this stuff comes to a dead halt because people have got to learn to get along. But there is going to be a sense where people will be forced to if they don't wake up. And this is a huge awakening that's transpiring right now at this time and revealed through the crises of this eclipse. Now let me just say another thing. Around the time of eclipses, to a month before to a month after, things are more intense. There's more global disasters. There's more severe weather. There's more volcanic eruptions. There's more fear. And here lies the opportunity that we all have to see it. That's what this eclipse is trying to tell us. Wake up, look into the dark, what we have been denying and not seeing. And with that will come a true and a wonderful awakening where things will shift and will change, because the world can't remain like this in this dire straits of discontent and anger. So it's all going to come to a head. And the opportunity for healing is the most significant and wonderful part of this. So I hope you have a better understanding about eclipses and what's to come, and how to recognize, not only in world events, but in your own personal life, how to heal this. So with that, I'd like to close. If you would like more information on me, or you would like to receive my free newsletter where everything I discuss here is typed out, printed out, and sent to you to your email address, as well as better understand what I'm all about. Go to my website and sign up for my newsletter, which is galacticcenter.org. Or if you would like to learn Vedic astrology, go to my university website, which is University of Vedic Astrology.com. Thank you.